Hi there. We're doing some more r/D&D stories today, and today we're also going to revisit some Masks of Destiny with parts 5 and 6 coming right off the bat. The Masks of Destiny, Chapter 5, Tavern Time. As we walk into King's Reach, the temperature drops to below freezing. I throw open the door to the tavern of the village and we run inside, getting out of the cold air. The tavern is nice and warm with several candles lit and the fireplace burning. Standing behind the bar is a finely dressed man filling up the glass with something. He looks up as I enter, quite surprised by the sudden burst of cold air. "Hello there. What can I get for you on this fine day?" he asks. "Today is not a very fine day. It's freezing out there," I growl under my breath. "Can we get something hot to drink, please?" Kalen says to the bartender. He nods. "Of course. Coffee or hot cocoa?"
Coffee!
Kalen and Elon say at the same time, taking a seat. "I don't know what either is, so I guess I'll take coffee too," I respond, grabbing a seat next to Kalen. As the bartender makes us our coffee, he questions us. "So why are you three up here near the border, especially during the winter storms?"
We're looking to climb the mountain.
Elon states to the man. "During this time of year, I think you're better off waiting until the storms pass. The Baron's forces are going up there to search for something soon, and I'm going to give them the same warrant." He is cut off by Elon.
If the Baron's forces are going up there, then we need to leave at first light tomorrow morning.
She says quickly.
We'll take 3 rooms, please, and a hot bath for each of us.
She hands the bartender several gold coins, and he gives her 3 keys.
Here!
She gives us each a key.
Go get some rest. Get warm. Tomorrow is going to be rough.
We all head up to our rooms, thanking the bartender as we go. I settle into my room and take a warm bath before heading to bed. When I wake up, there is knocking on the door.
Shiskane, wakey wakey, time to go. Those soldiers are going to be here real soon.
It's Kalen. I grumble as I get my gear on and head out the door. Kalen and Elon are both waiting for me at the front door.
Finally.
Kalen shakes her head.
For someone as strong as you like to sleep in a lot.
We open the door and I grit my teeth. Today is going to be rough. The cold air sweeps into the room as we step out into it. We trod slowly through the snow that has gathered, and I look at the foreboding mountains we were to climb. Well, this won't be fun, I think to myself. The Masks of Destiny, Chapter 6, The Mountains. About an hour after we left King's Reach, we're hiking through knee-deep snow up switchbacks. I look back down towards the town and see many torches marching to the base of the mountain. I pull out my spyglass I bought a couple months prior and look through it at the torches. I see a legion of soldiers marching through the snow to the base of the mountain. "Hey, I think I see those troops of Baron Ganth you were talking about," I say to Elon, handing the spyglass over to her.
We gotta speed up our pace. It's going to take us a few days to reach the top, and if we aren't fast enough, those troops will catch up to us.
She hands the spyglass back to me and starts hiking a bit faster.
Why are we trying to out-hike these soldiers again?
Kalen asks.
Baron Ganth is after the masked swell. He wants to become an all-powerful wizard, but is too lazy to do the work.
Elon replies.
Now please, let's get a move on.
I hope Elon is not a constant character throughout this. We hike for hours on end before we finally reach a slightly flat part of the mountain where there are trees growing. I look down at the soldiers again and can tell that they are none closer to us than before. They are even setting up camp because of the time.
I think this is as good a place as any to spend the night. The Baron's soldiers are setting up camp too, so we won't have to worry about them,
Kalen tells us. I agree. I'm tired and cold. I pull out my bedroll and lay down in it. The next thing I know, it's morning and we are packing up to continue on our way up to the top. Time flies as we hike, and soon enough the path levels out, and in front of us is a gaping chasm. A flimsy bridge is connecting the two sides, but to the left the path continues out of sight.
The path goes around the chasm for any caravans or traders that cannot cross the bridge,
Elon explains. My ears pick up the sounds of clanking armor and shuffling of feet getting closer. "All right, we're taking the bridge. Those soldiers are pretty much right behind us." Elon nods and begins to half rush, half carefully make her way across the bridge. A sudden wind sweeps the bridge at a dangerous angle, and Elon barely manages to hold onto the rope rail. She manages to make it across safely, but now the sound of the soldiers is very close. "Kalen, go. I'll start to hold them off if they get to us." I give Kalen a gentle push to the bridge, and she says thanks before making her way across the bridge as well. Kaylin makes it across the bridge without any incident, and as soon as she gets to solid ground, I rush onto the bridge, knowing that soldiers are right behind me. I was right. "There they are!" a gruff voice yells out over the wind. "Archers, fire!" An arrow slams into the wooden plank behind me as I slowly go across. 3 more arrows come raining down towards me, one of which manages to sink through my armor and pierce my skin on my back. I cry out in pain as I take another step, determined to get across the bridge. The plank beneath me gives out and snaps. My leg shoots through it and part of my body dangles over the chasm. "Fire!" The commander shouts again, and the sound of dozens of strings being released hits my ears. I pull myself out of the hole and finish the distance across the bridge. When I turn around, I see about 5 soldiers are crossing the bridge, and are not far from the end. I pull out my axes and begin hacking at the rope, determined to destroy this bridge so that the Legion will have to go all the way around. The soldiers crossing see what I'm doing, and the 4 near the start begin scrambling back for solid ground. The one closest to us, though, begins making a break for the side that we're on. He's too slow. I cut the final rope and the bridge falls. 3 of the 5 soldiers scream as they plummet into the darkness of the chasm. The other 2 had made it back to the other side. I smirk at the commander before we turn our backs to him and stride off, continuing up the mountain. The next day we make it to the top of the mountain where there is a sort of ravine that we are in. The wind and snow picks up though, and it is quite obvious that there is going to be a blizzard. Just as it's starting to get bad, we find a large hole in the ground that we drop into, landing on soft snow at the bottom. We all set up our tents at the bottom of the hole and make a small fire to keep warm. It's about 10 minutes after the fire starts when it happens. We all look around in confusion at the sudden noise, and the ground drops away and we fall.
Here we have a contribution from Alpha Echo. My players are great at playing in character. Sigh. About 2 months ago, I started homebrewing a custom setting, 20-level campaign, and about a week ago, I decided I had enough done to do a session 1. I did the session 0 with each character separately, covering the day or so leading up to the campaign, and I got really excited because all of my players were role-playing perfectly. One character in particular was playing a fire genasi who, for world-building reasons, are prejudiced against in this world. I warned him before that he might not be treated the same as other players by NPCs, and he was fine with this. I feel it's important to note that I am not racist, and genasi needed to be a mistreated minority for an NPC's backstory, and I was trying to maintain continuity. His Session 0 came, and he interacted relatively normally with NPCs, but played his brooding rogue perfectly. Session 1 and the characters met up accepting a job to clear some goblins, and after completing the job, went to the town to replenish supplies. Our genasi went to a bow shop to sell his and buy a new one. The NPC was fine with him there, but refused to cut him a deal on a short bow, making a comment on his kind always trying to scam shopkeepers. His character, a chaotic neutral rogue who's quick to draw, notched an arrow in the bow he was holding and prompted, "What did you say?" The shopkeeper replied, "Put down the bow or I'll make sure the god's awful fire in your head is put out." He released the arrow and crit, dealing 10 damage, the exact health of a commoner in my setting. Wow. Okay then. Everyone at the table, me included, were both surprised and amused that a party member managed to kill an NPC in Session 1. The shopkeeper was able to succeed in 3 death saves before the genasi told the party what happened, and they were able to rush him to a healer. Once conscious, the shopkeeper was convinced by a few lucky charisma rolls to let it go that time in exchange for some gold. So the party avoided being on the run and is currently investigating why the goblins were there, living happily ever after. Too long didn't read. Party member kills an NPC in Session 1 because the shopkeeper was racist, but somehow that's okay. Moral of the story, don't be racist, I guess. Yeah, given that your character was a brooding rogue, obviously with some other issues due to his past, I can't really imagine that really would have gone too much of another way. Obviously, he's had enough. Granted that if his race is so heavily prejudiced against in this campaign, you're probably going to be looking forward to a lot of other instances like this. And yeah, it may end up leading to him not being able to play that character for very long. That's just an unfortunate reality of the game. Not unless you bend and tweak some things for him, or he just gets really lucky with his saves. Either way, if you have more stories from this campaign, please do post them. Like, this would be very interesting to hear more about.
That was r/DnDStories, and this is the Reddit Ranger. Now, I think that we should do a little role-playing ourselves here. Why don't you go ahead and role-play somebody who's going to hit that subscribe button?